some time today driving through Liverpool, and we were able to find a car parking area, get out and explore kind of the downtown part of Liverpool. So we walked around, saw some stores that we don't normally see in the States. Once we arrived in Liverpool, we drove around as many residential areas as we could find, and we wanted to see some of the local stores as well. The housing in the UK is completely different than what we're used to, and we just loved looking at all of the homes and spotting the differences. So we ended up driving to the Liverpool Stadium. Even though we're not fans, it was still cool to see because we get to see the stadium on TV, but we haven't in person yet. So we parked the car, got out, and walked around the outside, but we stayed for a very short time because it was super cold and windy. It's so windy. We just made it to the Liverpool Stadium. We're not fans, but it's cool to see the stadium. And it's gonna be a quick tour because it is cold and windy. We then headed to the Everton football stadium where we drove around. We didn't get out of the car or anything, but we wanted to make sure that we got a great view of the stadium. And then after that, we headed back into the downtown area of Liverpool so we could grab some pints at a place called the Old Post Office. And then we stumbled upon an old pub that was called the Post Office. It looked pretty local to us. It looked like the locals went there, or at least a couple, and grabbed some pints. And we were lucky enough to sit right next to two super sweet gentlemen. They were a nephew and an uncle, and they kind of got to know us a little bit. After we tapped out of the pub, they took us to Matthew Street and they showed us exactly where the Beatles came together and played their first few gigs. I suggest that you do not skip this part if you go to Liverpool. You have to do the walk down Matthew Street and see all the history, and you can just feel it. It's such a cool place. And then we headed to dinner after that, and it was just so awesome running into them and getting a tour from locals. They knew so much about the street, they knew so much about the Beatles, and I'll never forget that moment. Right across from Eleanor Rigby's statue, there is a place called Casa Italia, and it was absolutely delicious. It was one of their recommendations. Highly suggest you go if you're in Liverpool. It looked like a super local spot and the food was decadent. The next morning, we were back on the road again and headed to Blackpool for a few hours before heading to Scotland. Not a lovely day for a swim. We made it to Blackpool. Sorry, it's super windy, but we are by the water, and this is a super cute little beach town. Unfortunately, the Blackpool Tower is closed because it's so windy. So that would have been super fun to go up and see as much of the town. Yeah, it's £16.50. So that's a pretty good price to get a nice little city view of the shops behind me and the water. So cool. quick Blackpool recap. We have something very similar, well, not in Texas, but we have something very similar in the States. You would call it Coney Island.
Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach. What's the one in California?
Monica.
Yeah, Santa Monica. So it's very touristy, and like there's tons of like arcade places and attractions. Yeah, so there was a Ferris wheel. There were a couple piers, and then there was a roller coaster, and then a big tower. But again, the tower was shut down because it was super, super windy. But now we are headed to Scotland. It's day 4 of driving on the opposite side of the road.
I'm a pro.
You are a pro. And we've been doing good, honestly.
Yeah.
Doing good. Day 4.
No major, not even any minor like traffic incidences.
No. It'll be weird to transfer back once we get home.
Yeah.
Since you're going to be driving on the side of the road for like what? 7 more days now? Yeah. So anyways, I'm not going to be taking a turn at the wheel because I have too much anxiety for that. But maybe we will get lunch on the way, I don't know, but we are about 3 hours from Scotland. Super stoked, and we will show you everything when we get there.